was under threat. A few weeks after the Crown Prince had returned to school in England, the people of Nepal took to the streets to demand an end to absolute monarchy and the introduction of multi-party democracy. Fearing revolution, King Birendra caved in to their demands. He agreed that his feudal role was at an end and telephoned his son with the news.
I was told his father called him and talked to him on the phone, and he had a real bad temper tantrum after that, and he even broke a hotel door. He was very angry about the way his father handled the situation. He felt he didn't have to give up being an absolute monarch.
When he went to the West to study, he was the son of an absolute ruler. When he came back, he became the son of a constitutional figurehead. Enormous, enormous difference. Because the palace didn't quite change. I mean, it was the same prehistoric system that it was 250 years ago. Everything around it changed. You can go ahead and cut ribbons as many ways you can, but an educated person needs to see some growth in what he inputs.
When Dipendra was 21, his father appointed him Colonel Commander-in-Chief of the Army. The post was purely ceremonial, but for Dipendra it would prove to be an opportunity to indulge his passion for military hardware. The King and Queen admired the British royal family and embraced the world of Western monarchy, but their son was left on the sidelines. His mother had more of a say in royal affairs than he did.
She was a very close confidant of the late king, and as such also she had access to state matters, and therefore she was perhaps one of his principal key advisors on many happenings that took place in the kingdom.
The Queen advised her husband there were only 2 girls in the entire kingdom suitable to become Crown Princess. Devyani Rana, now back at her parents' home in Kathmandu, was not one of them. Perhaps because her face was unforgettable, or perhaps because she had been forbidden to him, the Crown Prince began to pursue Devyani.
Initially, I think she was a little apprehensive, getting these phone calls from someone who is the Crown Prince of Nepal. They grew to be very good friends. So she overcame her little apprehension. I think the qualities of him being caring, sensitive, considerate, also being, very persistent with her. And yes, and he was the sort of person who, once she got to know better, she fell in love with.
He knew where his duty was. He knew what was right, what he could do and what he couldn't do. And at the same time, I think he got himself involved with his love affair also. As the relationship progressed, I think the line was crossed. And then after that, it went a little out of control. And she found herself getting involved deeper and deeper and deeper.
I remember asking him in a very casual way, aren't you people going to get married? And I remember him laughing and saying, of course, she's the only woman I'm going to marry. And, he'd take out his wallet and I'd show me her photograph that he always carried. And said, of course, we will, but, you have to understand I need to get the approval of my parents because my father's my father, he's also my king, and I am the Crown Prince.
Devyani's mother came from the royal family of the Indian state of Gwalior. In the days of the Raj, these vastly rich Maharajas claimed the highest honour of a 21-gun salute from the British Army. Their power and influence, displayed here at a family wedding, remain strong to this day. But all this was not enough for the royal house of Nepal.
Queen Aishwarya felt that the royalty of Gwalior state was of a slightly lower caste than the average Indian royalty, and hence beneath the Nepali royalty. So marrying to them, howsoever large their power and their reach and their popularity, would nevertheless be seen on a status scale to be lower than the Nepali royalty. On the other hand, all of that might have been a front to get her son to marry whom she wanted.
To make matters worse, Devyani's father was a politician, and from a rival clan to the Queen's own. But many felt the real reason for the Queen's dislike of Devyani was personal. She looked ahead and feared being pushed aside. The Queen looked for allies in her battle against her son's lover. She found them in Dipendra's sister, Princess Shruti, and her new son-in-law, Gorak.
More than love, I think ego might have influenced his decision, because all his life he had sort of always got what he wanted. Nobody would say no to a crown prince. Everyone would try to reason with him as to why he would be marrying this girl, or why he shouldn't be marrying this girl, or why he should, continue the traditions of the family. He shot them.
The look on his face was very scary. I still remember it, and still it gives me the creeps when I remember his face. He really looked exactly like the Terminator 2. Absolutely expressionless, but very concentrated. And it still haunts me, that look of his.
As the king lay bleeding, Dipendra's uncle challenged his gun-toting nephew.
He shot point blank. He literally flew and landed a couple of feet back. Our eyes met, and it was so cool, no emotion. It's like he knew what he was doing, basically. I thought for a second maybe he was hesitating. But then, next thing I know, I had been hit.
Princess Shruti ran to her injured husband.
She came close and she saw her husband had been shot also, and she said, "You too?" And then she just sat there and put her husband's head on her lap.
And I just grabbed her hand and I pulled her towards me, and I told her, even I have been shot. If you can run away, it looks like, he's going to finish everyone in the room.
By his late 20s, Dipendra was suffering increasingly from problems all too familiar to crown princes around the world.